Listen, you have a quiz on
Friday.
Saturday.
Friday.
Don't sing that song.
Why are you acting up again?
You guys have a quiz on Friday. This is the last lesson before that quiz. So, today you're going to get a worksheet with word problems on them. You're going to do the odds tonight for homework. I'll come around and check that you did them. And then you'll continue working on the evens plus another worksheet during class tomorrow for your quiz. So that will help you review for your quiz. Does that make sense? So today we're going to be looking at word problems. We have it separated into sections based on what kind of information is given to you. So please pay attention to what I am teaching you. Let me get that. All right. So given the slope and the y-intercept, you will be using slope-intercept form. So if you have the slope and the y-intercept, you have the rate of change and you have a starting point. Remember, the rate of change is the same thing as the slope, which is m, and the starting point is the same thing as the y-intercept, or b. So if you have the y-intercept, your starting point, your initial value, and the slope, you will use y equals mx plus b. So this word problem says, if you buy a car wash at the gas station for $5, the cost per gallon is $3.10. If you have $40, write and solve a linear equation to find the number of gallons of gas you can afford. So if you get a car wash, then the cost per gallon for gas is $3.10.
Yeah.
If you have $40, write and solve the problem. So what is your slope here? What is your slope?
$3.10.
So the cost per gallon is your slope. What do you guys think your y-intercept is?
$5.
$5. That's your initial cost. You're paid $5 so far, right? You've given $5 for a car wash. Now you have to continue to buy gas. So I don't know if any of you have ever pumped gas for your parents before or anything, but have you ever been to a gas station that says, "Do you want a car wash?" Yeah. So that's what this is basically saying. It's saying, okay, you can get a car wash. You say, okay, yes, $5, and then you're adding on the price to the gas as well. Does that make sense? Okay, and you're going to spend $40 total in the end there. So this is the initial here. So let's start here. What are my variables? What does x mean? And what does y mean? What is my x and what is my y? Number of gallons of what? So number of gallons of gas. Gassed. I don't know why I just said it that way. So what does y represent then? The total cost, right?
Yeah.
So what is the equation you could write to represent this situation? Haley?
Are we doing like the whole thing like plus with the 40?
The 40 is for the solving part. We'll talk about that.
Oh, okay. So y equals 3, 10x plus 5.
So first, you write your equation.
Sorry,
That 40 there is is information for the solving, right? So first we write an equation with both of our variables, and then this allows us to find any situation. Yes. Oh my gosh. Greg. No.
That's right.
It's right.
I know.
Great.
Riley,
My
Go
prescription
ahead.
glasses.
I'm going back to Greg when I can't speak. Go ahead, Riley.
Those are prescription glasses.
Yes, that's fine. Well, no, because it's money, so you should put 3.10. Sorry about that, Riley. All right.
You ain't anymore.
So, It then gives you, it then gives you that you have $40. Is $40 X or Y? So you know that Y equals 40. So what can you do?
Plug it in.
Plug it in for Y. So we have 40 equals $3.10 X plus 5. Okay, so then we have to solve that.
Oh, yeah.
Blaine, what would you do first to solve that?
Minus 5 on both sides.
Okay, the side conversations need to stop, please. Sit up, please. Thank you, Jordan. All right. What do I have to do now?
Divide 9 on both sides. To get you like 11.29.
Can you get 0.29 gallons of gas?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Is it 0.29? Repeat it, so we'll round to 2. Yes, you can get 0.29 gallons of gas. So, tell me in a sentence what this means. Connor.
Buy a car wash gas station $5, and the cost per gallon is $3.10, and you have $40, and you will be able to afford 11.29 gallons of gas.
Okay. If you buy a car wash at the gas station, I'm going to cut out some of that stuff, but you did a good job. And have $40 to spend. You can buy 11.29 gallons of that gas. What? How do you what? 0.29? See, you guys don't know, like, situationally, like, what this is. Like, I got gas this morning before school. It was not an exact amount. Like, it stops when it's full. So, like, however many gallons of gas was in there, it could have been 18.4, whatever it was.
Don't you live like
I live by Francis Howell North. I'm not that far away.
one of my teachers was like really far away.
No, I would. I'm in
California.
Yeah.
What is that last word exactly?
It says 11.29 gallons of gas. Okay, guys, stop. So slope intercept form should be the easiest for you guys. Those are situations you guys have talked about since last year. There's going to be other situations too. Yeah, I did. I mean, I just printed this bad. I'm sorry about that, guys.
You are a
You just have extra white space today? I didn't go front to back when I put it into the printer. Sorry about that. All right. The next situation. If you have a relationship between two different types of units. So there's two different types of units. Then you will use standard form. AX plus BY equals C. So you do not have any rate of change given to you, but you are comparing two different types of units, pieces of information. All right? So there's no rate of change, but you're comparing two different pieces of information. So we're going to read this one. The Madison High School Marching Band sold gift wrap to earn money for a band trip. Solid colored wrap sells for $4 per roll, and printed gift wrap sells for $6 per roll. The band needs to earn, not earn $3,400 for an upcoming competition. If the band sells 340 rolls of printed paper, write and solve a linear equation to find the number of solid paper they must sell. So first of all, what are our two different pieces of information here? Notice that there's no rate of change. It's just telling you two different pieces of information here. So Mike, what are my two different pieces of information? Okay, but what do those represent?
Different color, or like the solid.
So, solid color wrap and printed color wrap. So, notice those are two different things, right?
Yeah.
One has solid colors and one is printed. So, it's amount of solid wrap and amount of printed wrap. So, those are not the same thing. This is used a lot with like food and going to a restaurant where it's like you and your friend bought tacos and enchiladas for $10.
You bet.
Oh, yeah.
If tacos are $2 each and enchiladas are $3 each, how many of each did you buy? Do you see how we're talking about tacos and enchiladas there? They're not the same type of food, but it's a total amount. So those get used a lot too.
$10, you can't possibly. If tacos are $3.
2 and 3, you could buy 4 things right there. 2 tacos and
Yeah,
2
but not
enchiladas.
exactly for $10.
Yes. Yes, exactly. 2 and 3 is 5. 5 plus 5 is 10. All right. So, what?
I'm wrong one cup thing I didn't.
Oh, I'm also on the wrong one.
That's what I did.
You know what? I'm gonna
Guys, I don't know why you guys are talking so much. Stop. Please. What is the equation I could write in this situation then? In standard form, remember it has to be standard form equation. What do you think we could write here? Look at that real quick and see if you can figure out an equation you can write. Maybe try to write it down on your paper. What do you think your equation would be? Go ahead and try to write it on your paper in that equation spot. I'm going to walk around and give you guys time to think. Talk to the person next to you if you need to. But what do you guys think your equation will be? Don't raise your hand yet. Also, I don't know why so many of you are on the wrong slide. Don't get that either. Write the equation, guys. Try to write something down. I want to see what you guys can do. If it's $4 per solid and $6 per printed, how could you write an equation on your own? Try to write an equation there. We're still on that slide. Okay, talk to the person next to you if you have to. It's okay.
3,400.
Yay! Yay!
Is it
Wait, is this right?
6x equals
Not 6x, 4x plus.
6y equals
Is this right?
Not 3,000, whatever that is up there.
So that's right.
Guys, you have to have more confidence in yourselves. A lot of you guys are doing a really good job.
I got you.
X is solid. So you switched your numbers on accident.
Well, you get the point.
All right. Tanari, what did you write on your paper? Me? Yeah, I just called on you. Unless there's another Tanari in this class that I didn't know about.
Yeah, she needs that.
Let's go.
Okay, Tanari, go.
4x plus 6y equals 3,400.
I would say at least half of you have this already on your paper. You can do this. You are capable. So, it's $4 per solid wrap. I'm going to give up. I'm just not going to teach you. Stop talking. Please. Do you understand? I can't keep talking over you. We have got to do better on the next quizzes and the next tests. You have got to pay attention. Stop. So it's $4 per print or solid wrap. That's what the X represents. 4 times the solid plus 6 times the print for a total amount of $3,400, right? So it tells you that they sold 340 rolls of printed paper. Is that X or Y?
Y.
That is what?
Y.
That is Y. So Y equals 340. So we're going to plug in 340 for Y. And you can solve that. Did I do that right?
I thought that 4x equals 360.
So there's a 1 there. Yeah, I forgot the 1. Okay, there we go. I got 340, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, so what would your sentence be for this one?
I did not get that. Oh, okay, I know why. I did 4 divided by.
Riley, what would you say?
Madison Municipal Marching Band sold 340 rolls of printed paper and 340 rolls of solid paper.
For how much money?
Well,
So the Madison High School Marching Band sold 340 rolls of solid and 340 rolls of printed for $3,400. Lots of 3, 4, and zeros going on up here.
Heard right, they sold 340 rolls of each one.
Sure. Right, questions there? I'm going to let you guys finish. I think we have 2 more examples maybe. Yep. So there are 4 situations. So the first situation we talked about gave you a slope and a y-intercept, and you use slope-intercept form, right? The second situation gives you 2 different pieces of information and is adding to a total, which is when you use standard form. The last 2 situations are going to involve point-slope form, okay? So, given a point that is not the y-intercept in the slope, we know that if we do not have the y-intercept, we have to do point-slope form, right? We learned that on Friday. We're still practicing that. But if you have the slope in another point, then you can use point-slope form. So we know point-slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So you're given a rate of change, and you have any point that is on the line, but it's not the y-intercept. So you can't use slope-intercept form. So a home security company provides security systems for $5 per week plus an installation fee. The total fee for 12 weeks of service is $210. Write and solve a linear equation to find the cost of the installation fee. So first, what does x and y represent for us here before we determine anything else? Yeah.
X is number of weeks.
Okay.
I have no idea what it is.
What would the
Installation fee.
what would y be?
Installation fee?
It's not the installation fee. That would just be like the initial cost, yeah.
It's the service. Oh, that's the
Like the total.
Yeah, total service.
It's just like a total cost there, right?
I think it's a fee.
Okay, so notice you aren't given the installation fee, right? It says plus an installation fee. That would be the initial cost, which would be your y-intercept. Are you given that initial cost?
No.
No. Do you have 2 pieces of information without a rate of change?
Yeah.
You don't have a rate of change?
We have range.
We have a rate of change, so that's why we're not using standard form. Standard form comes in when you don't have a rate of change and you're comparing 2 different pieces of information. But this has a rate of change. So we don't have a y-intercept, we don't have 2 pieces of information, so we're going to have to go to point-slope form. How can I use point-slope form here, though? I don't have a point. Yeah.
You do because 5 is x and y is 12, right?
Close. 5 is not your point. What is 5?
5 is your slope.
5 is your slope. So that is your rate of change here. What do we have a point somewhere in here, though? Kind of off of what Jordan was saying?
Yeah.
What is our point? Lexi?
12, 210.
Isn't it 12 weeks cost $210? So if you input 12, you output $210 like after 12 weeks. So your point is 12, 210, which is weeks and total cost. That is an ordered pair. Do you guys see how we got that ordered pair in there? The input-output relationship that's there. If you have the service for 12 weeks, it's going to cost you $210. That's what that's saying? Do you see that? So what is your point-slope-form equation? What is your point-slope-form equation then? RC, what would my point-slope-form equation be then? So remember, point slope form is y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. So do we plug anything in for y? The first y. No. What goes in for y1?
210
Plus or minus?
minus 210
What's our slope?
equals 5.
Yep, the slope is $5 per week. And then?
Parentheses x minus 12.
Good. Okay. Write and solve a linear equation. Find the cost of the initial fee. How many weeks would it be if it's the cost of the initial fee? Mike? Initial. How many weeks?
0.
0. You haven't paid anything yet. You haven't started the service. You're just paying for the installation. So is weeks x or y? So we're saying x equals 0. So in our equation, we're going to make x equals to 0.
No. Wait.
So I get y minus 210 equals 5 times or negative 12. What's 5 times negative 12?
60. Negative 60.
And then we add 210. So y equals 150. So what does that mean? What is the initial cost then? Alexi?
$150.
So the initial cost of the security system is $150. Okay, that was a little bit more confusing. So let's kind of go back through these. I'm going to kind of go back and just talk about each of the situations here before we do the last one. So if you're given the slope and the y-intercept, meaning you do have a rate of change, but you also have the y-intercept, you can use slope-intercept form, right? That's when you use y equals mx plus b. In the case that we just did, you have a slope, but the value given to you is not the initial amount, right? It's another point, so you have to create a point on your own. Does everybody see that? Or if you have two pieces of information and you don't have a slope at all, you're going to use standard form. So that's what we've gotten to so far. Does everybody see that? Mm-hmm. What questions do we have so far? On your homework, it's going to be broken into these 4 sections, and then there's going to be a 5th section that's going to be like you determine it on your own. Does that make sense? Like which one it is? So you will be practicing that as well. Oops. 1 second. Is this your next slide, given 2 points?
Yeah.
All right. So given 2 points, you're still going to use point slope form. Because remember, unless one of your points is the initial cost or the y-intercept, you could use slope-intercept form. But for the most part, you're going to be doing point slope form. So you have 2 sets of information that can be created into ordered pairs. And then you can find the slope using your 2 points. So customers of a satellite dish company must pay for installation of the dish and a monthly fee for service. After 6 months, Jack paid $594. After 11 months, he paid $989. Write and solve a linear equation to find the cost. Find when the cost is $1,068. I really need to edit these. But notice here, do you have a rate of change? Do you only have 2 pieces of information?
Yeah, sure.
You do, but is it only 2 pieces though?
No.
You kind of have 4 pieces of information, right? Do you see that? So you can't really use standard form because there's 4 numbers going on rather than just the 2, right? So you remember the rate of change problems that was like Bill is hiking in the mountains and at 1 hour he's at this height and at blah 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 hours he's at this height and you guys had to find the rate of change? That is what these are very similar to. We could now take those problems and put them in point slope form to write an equation. You guys could now do that. Prior to this, in the last part of the unit, you guys did not have the point slope form skills yet to do that. Does that make sense? Yes. So, first, what are my variables? What are x and y? What are x and y? Colin?
The X is months and the Y is the total cost.
So remember that if there is time, it's going to be x. Or you can just think of the slope. too, like y over x, does y over x make sense? The total cost per month, does that make sense? Yes. Month per total cost, not so much, right? That does not make much sense at all. So what are my points here? What are my ordered paired points that we could come up with? What are my points? What's an ordered pair, Emma, you could give me from this information?
6,
At 6 months, that's not the highlighter. At 6 months, it's $594. Grace, what's another order pair you give me? 11 months, it costs $989. So we have the months and the total cost. So you can stack them to find the slope, or you can do y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1 Is that 395? It's 70 what?
79.
So your slope is 79. Do we have the y-intercept?
No.
So can we use slope-intercept form?
No.
No, this is why point-slope form is super important. Connor, put it into slope-intercept form for me. Or point-slope form, I mean. Choose a point. Which point do you want? 594 or 11989?
11,980.
Okay? Put that into point-slope form for me.
Y minus 11.
Be careful. What's in the y spot?
Oh, 989.
Equals.
Wait. 79?
We found the slope to be 79 times.
X minus 11.
Good. So it says write and solve a linear equation to find the cost when the cost is $1,068. Is that X or Y? Yeah.
I think this is over.
Is that X or Y? Total cost is
Y.
Y. So this is saying Y. So we're going to plug in 1068 for Y. Is it 79?
Yeah.
What's 79 times 11?
869.
Is that 948? Would it be 12? Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. So after 12 weeks, or months, what is it? 12 months, it will cost $1,068. All right. Before I hand out your homework, what questions do you have for me?